Okay, rolling the off-color dice. Welcome to Dog City Limits. We are going to watch who's playing right now?
Ian Files versus Austin Mattert.
Okay, playing. It's Maverick against Grixis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So who do we like in this matchup? What's the?
I think Maverick is favored a little bit, but that's not to say that it's like an unwinnable matchup for Grixis Delver, because the deck is just, it's so consistent, and the cards it plays with are so powerful. Even if the Maverick strategy is kind of tailor made to beat this sort of thing, the Grixis deck can still just get out under it, get out underneath it, because it is a faster deck in some draws.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a key thing for Austin to do is probably like resolve a True Name Nemesis, because Maverick has a tough time beating that, especially game one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from the other side of the table, Ian probably wants to abuse Wasteland as much as possible and resolve an Nether Reliquary that can't be bolted, and he probably wins the game from there. I've been playing this match a lot lately, and that's usually how it goes.
I think that's fair. So, I guess the big question is, so SCG Worcester, obviously the Grixis Delver hellscape that was was it the top 32? That was like 11 copies.
Yeah.
Something. So, how do we explain? Obviously, this isn't specifically about this matchup, but how where is that coming from? Do you guys think that one deck is placing at 30? Was it percent or something
like that?
I mean, it's on the back of Deathrite Shaman. It's probably the best Deathrite Shaman deck. Because I mean, you notice there's a Deathrite Shaman on the non-Grixis side of the table here, but I think it's a little bit harder for a deck like Maverick to really get the most out of it, because it doesn't play as many 1-drops. Like Deathrite allows you to, if you cast one turn 1 and you make your land drop, having 3 mana, that means you can make a 2 mana card and cantrip, or maybe double cantrip if you have a probe or therapy or something like that. And it's just like is hyper efficient with the card choices in the Grixis Delver deck.
Yeah.
So you get to see so many more cards. It's like not even funny. Like if you ever are playing against the deck and you're playing something like Maverick, just take a second after like 4 turns and count the number of cards they've gone through versus the number of cards you've gone through, and it's usually like they've seen twice as many cards as you, or close.
That sounds about right. So, I guess the next question is, how do you guys feel about the mobs with pitchforks trying to ban Deathrite Shaman?
I'm a little bit torn, because I like playing with Deathrite. It's powerful, it's fun to use, but I also like playing against it because it leads to interesting board states, especially if you are also playing Deathrite. Like Deathrite mirrors are, some people hate that. I think it's interesting, like, sure. And it requires like tight play, and you have to, like, it's very skill testing in my opinion.
That's fair. I think that it's not, when you look at something like Mental Misstep, which is obnoxious in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
Deathrite, at least you kind of have to work for it a little bit.
Yeah. The flip side of that, though, is this kind of leads it back in what we were saying, but what I was saying, like in the previous question about like why is Grixis around, why is it everywhere, is just because if you're on the play and you make a turn 1 Deathrite and you hit your land drop, and then do almost anything, you're so far ahead. Yeah. Like it just feels like you just feel like you can't lose. Like it's very, very difficult for the opponent to come back. But I mean, the Maverick deck can do the same thing. Like if they go turn 1 Deathrite, turn 2 Wasteland Thalia, that's almost as backbreaking.
I agree.
But the thing is, I think the Grixis starts that involve a Deathrite are better against the field, because like obviously Thalia is not good against some decks. Like if you're up against elves, doing that that's just terrible. That doesn't do anything. That's like such a bad start. Like your hand is not good against elves. But I mean that's the whole thing. It kind of like it really like shifts the emphasis of what matters in these matchups to did you win the die roll? Because if you win the die roll, and then
Ouch.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna see a Dark Depths activation here. Just natural. I believe these are one-ofs in Ian's deck. But he has drawn both of them.
Again,
To be honest, I'm surprised he just didn't make it main phase on his turn. Because I don't believe the Grixis Delver. You're playing Mike's deck, so
there's no answer.
There's no answer to main deck.
Unless he has a Wasteland ready, which he doesn't. He's giving him.
Punished. Okay.
Yeah, he should have made it.
Yeah, if you make it.
Well, so I guess. Well, yeah.
Unless Ian has a Wasteland of his own to back it up.
Bold attack.
Into the death right.
Do you guys think this is a fair trade? Like, do you just snap off the block here?
I don't know. That feels like a trap.
I don't think I would have.
Yep.
Did he make another one? He made another
one.
Okay, yeah. That in that case, I think that's fine. If that was my only threat, I definitely would not have attacked into the death right. And then I think Ian is definitely right.
Yeah, here it comes.
And now he wins. Yeah.
Oh, at least he's trying, Mike. Like you just let the ghost quarter resolve.
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. Like maybe you just like wait. Like I don't know.
Oh, you gotta fight. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, there's no point. There's no point in activating, but.
Yeah, I know Ian's build of Maverick is. I played against him a couple of times since I picked up Grixis Delver, and Ian knows what he's doing, and that's like the best way to win the game, especially game one, because he does have that combo in his deck.
Absolutely.
And maybe not necessarily just naturally drawing it, because that's kind of hard to do, but if he resolves an either Reliquary, that's probably what he's going to go for.
Yeah, and does he have crop rotations to like find that? Does he have some way to power into it?
No, it's for the Knight. The Knight does it. The Knight's a crop rotation on a stick, basically.
Okay, that's fair.
But I mean, the thing is, like, you know, my builds of Maverick, I played both with and without Dark Depths, and I think either is fine. The Dark Depths definitely gives you wins in matches that you have no business winning, because you can maybe just break a board stall by just going for it. But at the same time, Dark Depths is a terrible card to draw. Like, you never want to see it in your hand, because it doesn't make mana. So, like, and also, like, in this type of matchup, I don't think you actually need Dark Depths to win if you resolve an Either Reliquary, because you can just, like, overpower them with the power of your cards by that point. You can just throw Wastelands at them every turn, and then attack with, like, a 12/12, and they're dead in, like, 2 turns.
So
it's like
he shook it.
Yeah, that was okay. So it looks like
I saw a Submerge.
I think I saw Therapy.
I think I saw Therapies.
Yeah, Mike, how as a Grixis player, how would you sideboard for this matchup?
Let's see. So he's gonna be on the play. I think I leave all my dazes in. I think I board out probably all the Force of Wills on the play, because the Maverick deck is already going to outvalue you with their cards. So if you're giving them a free 2-for-1, you're just playing into their game plan. And also their cards are pretty kind of like homogenous, or like, it's non-linear. So there aren't like key cards really that you can take out. But then it looks like he was bringing in Therapy, which I think is actually, you want it in this matchup, because there are things that are really hard to deal with. Like Knight.
Yeah, that seems like it would be really hard to get off the table.
Yeah. That's one of the issues, especially with my build right here. I think it actually, that's why the Submerge is there. I think Price of Progress is actually a hard card for Maverick to beat. If you set up the board state right and you've applied enough early pressure that they're within range of dying to it, they could easily take 6 damage or 8 damage.
It looks like Austin's boarding out the 4 Force 2 Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I think Spell Pierce is a card you don't want to see at all.
No, I mean,
it counters maybe
Green Sun's equipment,
Swords of Plowshares, but probably not, honestly, because Maverick makes so much mana anyways. Does he have a Cradle in his list?
He doesn't have the Cradle.
Doesn't have Cradle.
Yeah, some lists have the Cradle and like
I think if you're
like
on
Sigarda, or like a big 5-drop threat.
I think if you're on Dark Depths, you probably don't want Cradle, because it just makes the mana too awkward.
To be honest, I kind of like Dark Depths better than like 5-drop and Cradle.
Yeah.
The cool thing with Cradle is it lets you like cast an equipment and equip it in the same turn.
That's true.
Which can be very strong. You could conceivably... Can you do it on turn 2? I don't think you have a creature to do it. Like, you're just casting and equipping to a tapped creature, because it has to involve, like, Dryad Arbor, Deathrite Shaman, 2 lands, and a Cradle. That's turn 3.
Yeah.
Maybe if you turn 2 made a Dryad Arbor with Green Sun Zenith. I think by that point you're just like, you're reaching for something that isn't. That's really easy to disrupt.
I mean, I think when Jund was more prevalent, like, you would want the Sigarda.
Yeah.
Jund, like, can't beat that card except with Toxic Deluge.
Probably pretty good against Check Pile.
Yeah, I would imagine that as well. And like, the other 5-drop that I've seen in these sort of, like, 3-color green decks or, like, 3.5-color green decks is Whisperwood Elemental.
Okay. What is that? Remember what that does again? I'll just look it up.
It's like a 4/4 that, like, you manifest at your end step every turn, and then you can, like, sacrifice it to, I think, regenerate, or, like, give all your manifest indestructible or something like that. It's pretty ridiculous, especially, like, in a creature-heavy deck. Alright, yeah, Austin leading off with the death, right? So, this might be a completely different game since he has the death rate advantage.
Yeah, we'll see if this holds up to the, I guess, seeing twice as many cards.
Yeah.
Now, he needs to have the bull. Yeah, okay, he's got the bull. Yeah, because if the mom gets active,
it seems like
it can get out of control, and it's, you know, they can just then, even if you have a true name, they can just force through a huge knight. But, I mean, you know, if he has another mom, you know, Grixis doesn't actually play that many removal spells. We'll see here.
I wonder if this Cavern is going to be awkward at all. I imagine it's set on human for the knight and for mom and for...
Yeah, well, he cast the mom off of it, so I don't think he would have chosen Cleric.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't cast anything else in the deck, I don't think.
You could have chosen Kithkin or
Advisor.
For Gaddock Teague.
Wizard for Kasali Pride Mage.
Yep. Cat Wizard.
Somebody was once telling me they were playing Maverick, and that was actually a relevant play. He named Wizard because he needed to force through a Pride Mage through counter magic to win the game.
Yeah, seems fair. Seems fair.
So let's see.
This is still end of Ian's turn, I think. No, I guess Austin went into his main phase without activating the death rate.
Therapy.
Blind therapy. Now, people say Brainstorm is the
card to name.
Is the most challenging. Well, yeah, I mean,
the name Brainstorm blind always.
Always blind, yeah. I mean, obviously he has information here. Yeah, people say Brainstorm is the most skill testing card. How do you guys feel about that? You know, vis-a-vis stuff like Cabal Therapy or Doomsday, for example.
Well,
okay, I think
Doomsday. Talking about Doomsday, that's like a cop out almost because that card is just it's like just infinite complexity with resolving it.
True.
You know, I mean, they're a little bit different. For me, anyways, like I've obviously been playing with both cards in the same deck for a little while now. I think they're almost equally difficult. I think Brainstorm is actually easier to use in a lot of cases than Therapy is. Assuming we're just talking about in a vacuum, like you just tapped in blind therapying versus using Brainstorm, like because you kind of sometimes have to get lucky with the therapy because like you are supposed to name what the worst thing they can do is, not what you think they have. But you know, you do sometimes have to get lucky because knowing they don't have it is good, but actually hitting the thing is even better.
And
yeah, I think I'd have to say Therapy over.
Yeah, I think the hard Brainstorm, like the truly difficult cases with Brainstorm, are probably harder than the average Therapy.
But they're fewer and far between.
They're fewer. Like
anybody can main phase Brainstorm and shuffle away the 2 worst cards in your hand.
Exactly.
Like, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, and I think that again, the in the vacuum therapy without knowing what's in their hand,
Yeah.
I think forces you to make a call with less information.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, another card to talk about, perhaps in the context of Legacy, like the health of the format as a whole, is Gitaxian Probe, which obviously breaks Cabal Therapy wide open.
Yeah.
But the other thing with Probe is like, take like a Delver Mirror, for example. If neither deck is playing Probe, then the early turns are very complicated, and there's tons of room for error, and there's tons of room for one player to pull ahead by correctly, taking a certain line or identifying maybe what their opponent's on based on how they're sequencing and stuff. But if you have Gitaxian Probe, you get to just throw all that out the window, and you get to sequence perfectly, and just it takes away all of the like nuance to the early turns of like a Delver Mirror, for example, but and to some extent other matchups as well. And I think that Gitaxian Probe is definitely like an R&D mistake. Like it's just way too good, way too efficient rather.
I'm gonna argue in favor of Gitaxian Probe because Doomsday has already died once to the sins of Tier 1 decks, and I think that like please for fuck's sake just ban something that isn't in Doomsday. We just clawed our way back out of the grave.
For sure.
Did Doomsday play Dig at all? Or like Treasure Cruise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to shuffle in. Yeah,
I wasn't Doomsdaying at that point.
I see.
I don't know if they would have. Well, so probably not because you're trying to go off relatively early and you shouldn't have as big a graveyard as like the Delver decks would have amassed.
Here comes a knight.
Oh, well, I guess we're cheering for Maverick here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Any fair Magic is
Yeah, it's hard to commentate this match. I don't know about you, Quinn, but
yeah, this isn't
this fair. I mean, I like the Merit Lage in game 1.
There is a combo in this deck, so we're rooting for it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a combo in Grixis. There's Brainstorm and Fetch Lands,
Pyromancer,
Delver, and Delver and Pyromancer and cantrips.
I will say that I agree with that argument that Probe is a design mistake and really messes up the complexity of these, especially like Delver matchups and things like that. But I think that
I don't think it's the culprit. Like, and it goes in all those other decks too. Like, the problem with that you would use the issue you would use to argue in favor of getting rid of Probe is that it just breaks the rules of the game too much.
Right.
But I don't know if it's really that oppressive. Like, I don't know. I heard that argument from Woodrow, and I don't know. Like, I thought it was a really good point. I don't know if I necessarily if that bothers me too much. Like, because that's just saying like, oh well, I just want things to be like they used to be. Like, but I mean, doesn't everybody woo nostalgia? Like the golden age of Legacy is gone.
Yeah, I wish.
But you can't bring it back by banning a card. Like, the only way you can have that era of Magic again is to literally go back in time before like Gristlebrand and Thalia and Delver were printed, and like that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna ban all those cards. Like,
What do you think about the more recent straight to Legacy cards like True Name or Leovold?
I think both of those cards are also R&D mistakes. True Name is just a dumb design.
Yeah, True Name seems rough, dude.
And it's definitely, I mean, but it's just like, it was just bad all around because they're like, oh, well, it was for Commander, like multiplayer. But it's garbage in that format. Like, I mean, I don't even know from experience, but that just seems like a terrible thing. Like, but I mean, then again, I don't play Commander. I don't understand why people would play Commander. So, maybe it's like you have that one friend that you always hate, so you always name him with your true name, and like, and then you can't deal with it.
I could see where, what I imagine being the really dysfunctional politics of a multiplayer game of Magic, and something like True Name being an interesting thing within that context, but I think in a 2-player game,
it's just dumb.
What the hell? It's like, what is this thing?
I don't know. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I don't think True Name. I mean, I think when it was first printed, like everyone was freaking out, right? They were like, "How do we beat this?
What the hell?
Like, how do we beat this? Like, everyone's just gonna be playing, like 4 Deathrite, full Noble Hierarch, just like slam this on turn 2."
Sure.
And like,
people
for the first 3 weeks and like first couple of weeks, like it was annoying, but then the format quickly adapted. Like, with such a deep card pool, there are, like, plenty of answers for it.
Yeah.
I mean, then Toxic Deluge was printed in the same commander set.
And that's one of the best cards that came into Legacy in the last 5 years, probably.
Exactly,
that card is so good. I don't know, like, this whole conversation that we're having in the Legacy community as a whole right now is, I think it's about the deck Grixis Delver, and it's really about the creature base.
Right.
Because the creature base in the deck is, like, possibly the best ever. It's like the dream team. Like, you have a guy who doesn't use the attack step and also makes mana and interacts with the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
You have an army in a can. You have mini Progenitus. And then you have the guy that can't be bolted and beats Charm away from combat most of the time, and also costs 1 mana.
Right.
And then the 1 mana Flying Wild Nacatl.
Yeah.
Like, they just cover so many bases. And I mean, I think that's the reason why the deck is so good, is because the threats are just so amazing.
Yeah, and they're varied. There's
not any one thing can beat all of them. Like, unless you're just Wrath of Godding or something like that. Yeah. But nobody does that in Legacy anymore. Like, Miracles is the last deck that could really do it. Some people say that deck is actually secretly the best deck.
The Neo Miracles?
New Miracles. But I don't know if... I've heard other people say that it's, like, garbage.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's unplayable. I don't think it's a shadow of its former self. Like, like, the counterbalance lock and being able to trigger Terminus just, like, on demand...
Yeah.
Like, was what made it so powerful and so impressive. And, like, now, like, having to, like, finesse the Terminus, like, with Portent and, like, Predict and Snapcaster, like, it's, like, not as powerful. Because, like, it would just be, like, 1 mana spin, like, oh, fun Terminus tap. Like,
I'm not sad that they have to finesse the 1 mana ramp.
Oh, me neither. I'm, like, I was playing against Miracles for fun yesterday, and, like, oh, Nathan showed up with Miracles.
For fun?
Well, it wasn't really. I mean, I was playing a meme deck, but like he never hit on his counterbalance triggers because he didn't have a way to like manipulate his deck. So like, it was a lot more bearable to play against.
Right. Yeah, and I think that it's a much less obnoxious deck than it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but going back to your point, Mike, about how the creature base is like the best possible. I mean, not only is it the best possible, but basically all of the creatures, with the exception of True Name Nemesis, are just like highly synergistic with the Turbo Xerox strategy of running like 12 cantrips.
Low land count.
Free permission spells, like like it's the creatures are basically perfect for the deck.
Yeah. So like if the goal is to take Grixis down a peg but not kill it, you actually probably need to ban either True Name, Gurmag, or Pyromancer, but that just feels so bad. Like, and you ban True Name, and what do they play? Like, you probably start seeing maybe like Vendilion Click, or there's that what's he called? Cryptic Serpent, which is a 6/5 for, I want to say 7 in a blue, but he costs 1 less for each instant or sorcery in your graveyard. Let me pull it up here. But yeah, I mean, you can't really quite get the same effect of True Name if that card is gone.
Yeah, it looks like Merit Lage is one.
Yes,
he did it.
Yeah, that's really tough to beat.
Provided almost no commentary on this matchup, but
sorry, we're sorry.
I think we're having a valuable discussion about Legacy as a whole.
I agree.
And nothing mattered because Merit Lage showed up.
No, exactly.
So
I mean, so what bothers me? I mean, like, yeah, Grixis Delver is like really good, but I think what bothers me about Deathrite is enabling strategies like Check Pile.
Yeah,
where it's just like all the value cards in 4 colors. And they can also play either Wasteland or Blood Moon if they desire. Like,
or the extra basics.
Yeah. Like,
that was the moment for me where... Because I think I agreed with people for a long time where what I don't want is for Legacy to become modern, where Wizards suddenly bans whatever the best deck is
whatever
all the time.
The loudest sobs in the room.
Yeah, well, in a format they certainly seem to not really pay attention to, and so with minimal context make decisions about these kinds of things based on like 2 tournaments a year that they pay attention to.
Yeah.
But when I saw, I think you guys had check pile built, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just blood moon these motherfuckers, and then they have their own blood moon.
Yeah.
No, the
Yeah.
4-color deck should not
It's a
survive a
monstrosity.
blood moon.
And you look at the list on paper, and they're just like gross. Like,
yeah, it's a gross list.
and not that that's like a reason that like a real reason for there to be a problem with it, but it just looks gross. I mean, they got like some are playing 1 to 2 lightning bolts. Like, it's just like, when has anybody ever sleeved up just 1 or 2 lightning bolts?
It's like it's like you let a AI learning thing just like come up with a legacy deck, and it doesn't quite make sense, but it works for question mark reason. Are they writing something?
Delver 1, Austin 0.
what?
He wrote Delver 1, Austin 0.
But why?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I bet he thinks he let the deck down.
Oh, it's okay.
No, the deck let you down.
I thought he meant Austin the city, but his name is Austin.
Oh, yeah. We also need to decide as a group, is it Atog? Is it Atog? Is it Atog?
I say Atog.
I say Atog.
I've always said Atog.
Atog.
I don't know.
What does Rich Shea say? He's like the authority.
Pronunciation.
Oh,
God.
Well, he's like, because his like Twitch name and Moto name is like Atog or Atog. What is it? Well, he's from the East Coast, so like.
Yeah, it's probably weird.
Gotta take what he says with a grain of
Steamed
salt.
hams.
I think he says Atog. I don't know. I'll have to look up an old stream of Rich Shea and see what he says.
We'll get back to it on that.
Maybe we just change the name of the stream to that like functional reprint of Atog. What is that from? From Kaladesh or Aether Revolt?
Oh.
We're being summoned.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll hit
Who we
pause
sending
on
now?
this. I'll play some
All right.
Painter.